Hey everybody, I'm Holly, aka the Q-ANut, and welcome to part 5 of the QAnon Wikipedia reading. It's been a while due to COVID and some other things going on, but I'm finally glad to be able to get back into the swing of things. So, I don't have any announcements, but without further ado, let us dive into the reading. Now, we were at other QAnon beliefs.
QAnon Anonymous, a podcast dedicated to analyzing and debunking the QAnon movement, calls it a, quote, big tent conspiracy theory, unquote, due to its ability to constantly evolve and add new claims. QAnon has incorporated elements from many other pre existing beliefs. Besides its immediate predecessor, Pizzagate, the theory has added features from much older conspiracy theories, such as those about the Kennedy assassination, UFOs, and 9/11. In 2018, Liz Crokin said that John F. Kennedy Jr. faked his death and that he is Q. Other followers adopted variations of the Kennedy conspiracy theory, asserting that a Pittsburgh Trump supporter named Vincent Fusca is Kennedy Jr. in disguise and would be Trump's 2020 running mate. In November 2021, hundreds gathered in Dealey Plaza in Dallas, the site of President Kennedy's assassination, believing they would witness the return of Kennedy Jr. or both Kennedys. Attendees expected that the event would herald Trump's reinstatement as president, that Trump would step down to allow Kennedy Jr. to become president.
That's different. I was actually expecting Trump, in that case, that Trump would be reinstated as president, according to the theory. I didn't know that he'd allow Kennedy Jr. to take over.
And that Kennedy Jr. would then name Michael Flynn as his vice president. According to QAnon researcher Will Sommer, about 20% of QAnon followers believe the JFK Jr. theory, while the majority finds it, quote, too farcical on its face, unquote. Due to overlap between the two movements, some QAnon followers have joined the Sovereign Citizens, a loose grouping of anti-government tax protesters whose set of pseudo-legal beliefs implies that most laws and taxes are illegitimate and can be safely ignored if one uses the correct procedures. Some QAnon adherents have expressed belief in the reptilian conspiracy theory, asserting that the satanic cabal alleged to be in power consists of shape-shifting reptilian humanoids.
Of course, there's the reptilians again.
In 2018, Q said that, quote, vaccines, not all, unquote, were part of the big pharma conspiracy theory.
Now the question is, which vaccines are part of the big pharma conspiracy theory and which ones weren't?
But as the anxiety and isolation linked to the COVID-19 pandemic fostered a rise of conspiracy theories and anti-vaccine discourse, many in the movement used the pandemic to promote QAnon. Very little of this was directed by Q posts, and Q did not mention the pandemic until March 23, 2020, when it called COVID-19 the quote-unquote China virus, not using the name quote COVID-19 until April 8th. But influencers in the QAnon community were openly anti-mask and anti-vaccine and helped spread denialism as well as other misinformation about the pandemic. Notably, QAnon conspiracy theorists touted drinking an industrial bleach known as MMS or Miracle Mineral Solution as a miracle cure for COVID-19. Q suggested that hydroxychloroquine, endorsed by Trump at the time, was a cure for the disease and accused the Democrats of forcing infected patients into nursing homes, deliberately causing most COVID-related deaths in the United States. Some QAnon followers have said that the pandemic isn't real, others have claimed it was created by the deep state. QAnon adherents also helped promote the conspiratorial video Plandemic.
So we're going to take a look at a lot of these as we dive more down the rabbit hole. So I'm going to have videos reading about Miracle Mineral Solution, anti-vax, the deep state, Plandemic, and a whole bunch of other things that QAnon and other conspiracy theories are spouting.
In March 2022, CNN, France 24, and Foreign Policy reported that QAnon promoters were echoing Russian disinformation that created conspiracy theories about US-funded laboratories in Ukraine. Russian state media falsely claimed that secret US biolabs were creating weapons, a claim refuted by the US, Ukraine, and the United Nations. In reality, the laboratories were first established to secure and dismantle the remnants of the Soviet biological weapons program, and since then have been used to monitor and prevent new epidemics. The laboratories are publicly listed, not secret, and are owned and operated by host countries such as Ukraine, not by the US. In the conspiracy theory interpretation, QAnon followers have claimed to justify the invasion of Ukraine as an effort by Putin and Trump to destroy military laboratories in Ukraine. Until the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine, QAnon-adjacent groups were hostile to China. In March 2022, analyst Elise Thomas wrote in a report for the Institute for Strategic Dialogue, quote, "The dynamics of the invasion are shifting their views. In an astoundingly short space of time, Xi Jinping appears to have been recast from a villain to a hero in the QAnon conspiracy pantheon."
It seems like as QAnon expands and whatnot, and as these things happen in the world, they tend to support the dictators and the fascists and more far right personalities. So that's concerning. And it's kind of like a big 180, because you always hear Trump being like, China, blah, 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 being all upset about China and whatnot. And now Xi Jinping is now considered a hero in QAnon.
Analysis. Identity of Q. The Q persona was that of a well-connected individual with access to highly sensitive government information who put themselves at risk by dispensing their knowledge to 4chan and then 8chan/8kun users. Q used a calm, authoritative tone, rarely interacted with other posters, and never argued with those who disagreed with their claims. In 2021, Bellingcat analyzed several little-known posts published by Q during the days that followed the first drops. While containing text identical to later messages unambiguously authored by Q, these also showed Q being, quote, out of character and behaving in a manner similar to 4chan's other anonymous posters. Bellingcat's theory is that the author of these messages had not yet perfected the Q persona and was still settling into the voice of their online alter ego, which implies that Q was originally one 4chan poster among many instead of a powerful government insider.
And it's obvious that he's not a powerful government insider because of all the things he's gotten wrong. Q clearance is related to the Department of Energy and not the military, not the White House, or anything like that. So Q would have no idea what's going on. He would know what to do. He would know information about nuclear weapons, not anything else that he's been spouting, if he actually had Q-level security clearance.
Multiple individuals. By 2020, it became accepted among researchers that the pseudonymous entity known as Q had been controlled by multiple people in cooperation. A stylometric analysis has suggested that 2 people likely wrote Q's posts and that their distinct signatures clearly correspond to separate periods in time and different online forums. An analysis of metadata of images posted by Q found that they were likely posted by somebody in the Pacific time zone. By design, anonymous image boards such as 4chan and 8chan obscure their posters' identities. Those who wish to prove a consistent identity between posts while remaining anonymous can use a trip code, which associates a post with a unique digital signature for any poster who knows the password. There have been thousands of posts associated with a Q trip code. The trip code associated with Q has changed several times, creating uncertainty about the poster's continuous identity. Passwords on 8chan are also easy to crack, and the Q trip code had been repeatedly compromised and used by people pretending to be Q. When 8chan returned as 8kun in November of 2019, after several months of downtime, the Q posting on 8kun posted photos of a pen and notebook that had been pictured in earlier 8chan posts to show the continuation of the Q identity and to use Q's 8chan trip code.
I did listen to something about Ron and Jim Watkins, and looking at the Q posts, I think one of them, I don't remember which one was a pen collector and one was a watch collector. And I think Q had posted some stuff related to a specific type of watch and a specific type of pen, so that kind of creates some suspicion on Jim and Ron Watkins, considering their hobbies and collections. But we are going to end after multiple individuals, and we will start next time at Paul Ferber and the Watkins family. I just want to thank you all for sticking around and waiting for this next video. I know it's been a while, and all I can say is I can't wait to keep going. So if you like the video, like it. If you don't, dislike it. I don't care. Comment with your feedback or questions, good, bad, or sideways. And subscribe to be kept up to date on any future content. I'll talk to all of you later. See ya.